What is the absolute worst game you've ever played? Maybe you thought of a game that was disappointing, or maybe you thought of a game that is filled with bugs and glitches. Although a few games I personally don't really like came to mind, I decided to find the definitive answer. I found a list of the top 100 lowest rated games on Steam, and I'm gonna play them all to find out which game I personally think is the worst. Now let's spin the wheel and get ready to go dumpster diving. Sid Meier's Starships? No way. Let's get right into it. When I was younger, one of the first games that I really spent a lot of time playing was Sid Meier's Civilization Revolution on the Xbox 360. I know some people didn't like how diluted Civilization Revolution was compared to other games, but as a kid, it was the perfect introduction to the genre. I always enjoyed trying to make as much money as possible, trying to get as many great people and wonders as I could, and if all else fails, you always have the nuclear option. This is also one of the few games that I was able to play with my brother when he was halfway around the world without having awful lag. Even now, I still find myself going back to Civilization 6 every once in a while, and I am so excited for Civilization 7 to come out. So imagine my surprise when I found out that a Sid Meier's game set in outer space is apparently one of the worst rated games on Steam. I can't even begin to explain how disappointed I am, and I haven't even started the game yet. I boot up Sid Meier Starships, and apparently I made the game self-conscious earlier because now it's just cowering in the corner. No big deal though. This is pretty much the norm for every single game in the series. I just need to go to the settings and I can change the resolution. There's just one tiny issue with that. For some reason, the only display setting I can change is from windowed to full screen windowed, and even that's broken because it leaves an empty strip at the bottom of the screen. This game was released in 2015, by the way. After getting way more upset about screen resolutions than I ever thought possible, I got right into starting up a game. It looks like there are 3 main factions with 8 identical leaders per faction. Each faction and leader starts off with their own unique perks. However, since the game doesn't explain anything ahead of time, I have no idea what anything means exactly. Is it better to be the Supremacy so I can start with a random wonder, or is it better to be the Harmony so I can repair my starships at half cost? Is it better to be this bossy cyborg woman who gives 50 credits per city each turn, or this creepy alien guy who reduces the cost of cities by 25%? Since the game doesn't care to explain anything, I just randomly pick someone. Come here, Bart, let's go show these nerds why we are superior. When you first load into the game, there's no real tutorial that you can play. The game instead gives you an encyclopedia and an advice button and lets you go from there. Gee, that would have been helpful 10 seconds ago. Your faction starts off in control of a single planet, and your goal is to expand your reach as far as possible while interacting with the other factions in the galaxy. If you're at a planet you own, you get the ability to buy several different upgrades for your faction. If you encounter a planet you don't own, you get sent to the battlefield where you control your fleet in a battle in space. You win the game by either having a majority of the population in the galaxy, eliminating all rival civilizations, researching 3 level 6 technologies, or controlling 9 special upgrades called wonders. Since I didn't know exactly what I should be doing, I spent all my resources on upgrades for my fleet before accidentally entering a battle with a nearby planet. They want to do a friendly exercise where we have our 2 best ships battle against each other in a casual fight to the death. According to my top advisor, we have a 71% chance of success. I like those odds. Prepare yourselves, men. It's time to prove why we are the superior fleet. The combat in this game is pretty simplistic. Each ship can move a set distance and use an ability once per turn. This ability can be shooting at the enemy, shooting a torpedo, or a stealth mechanic that never ended up working for anybody. Each ship also has a shield that helps to reduce incoming damage. However, the shield doesn't work as well from behind, so if possible, you want to hit the back of the enemy ships for maximum damage. Also, you see these guys? These are called your fighters, and you want as many of these as possible. While they are pretty weak, they're also fast, and they can deal a ton of damage. In my first couple battles, I was frustrated because I kept losing and I couldn't understand why. But once I bought a few fighters for myself, the combat in this game just became trivial. While you explore the galaxy and fight other factions, your crew gets all tuckered out. If your crew is too tired, they perform worse in battle, so every once in a while you need to end your turn to give your crew some R&R and to collect resources. This is also when you get to watch your enemies take their turns, and occasionally another faction will introduce themselves. Unlike every other Sid Meier's game I played, these guys don't just start off the game by immediately hating you. In fact, the AI gave out top secret information as soon as they met me because apparently I just looked like a trustworthy guy. As the game went on, the issues became more and more apparent. First off, the AI seems perfectly content playing the game on their own. There were several times where an AI would introduce themselves to me only to be immediately destroyed by another AI. Second, remember how earlier I was talking about how you could upgrade your fleet? While this seems impressive at first with the wide variety of upgrades and currencies, I find the whole system pretty shallow. Despite having several unique currencies, each one acts exactly the same. Each turn you get a pitiful amount of money to spend on upgrades. Most of the upgrades boil down to increasing the amount of currency you make each turn. However, the upgrades also get more expensive each turn regardless of if you buy them or not. This is annoying for 2 reasons. First off, it's frustrating when you think that you saved up enough money for an upgrade you really want, only to find out that space has a ridiculous inflation rate. Second, unlike in other Sid Meier's games, you never really get any visual feedback as to how much your faction is growing. Despite buying all these upgrades, it never feels like you're leading a successful faction when you're broke all the time and your planet looks the same as it did when you started the game. There is one more unique part of this game, the wonders. Each planet in the game has one wonder that you can buy for a ton of resources. However, unlike in previous games, you don't get a large list of wonders to choose from that you can build almost anywhere. Each planet's wonder is unique, so so if the AI spawns on a wonder that you want, your only option is to kill them. This time I got lucky and built a wonder that allowed my fighters to move the round they were deployed, which is extremely overpowered. At the same time, my enemy unlocked a wonder that made them immune to torpedoes. Now, normally this isn't a big deal since the AI would always avoid my torpedoes anyway. The issue is the game never tells you what wonders the enemy has when you fight them, so I ended up wasting my turn by firing several useless torpedoes. Speaking of the AI, the combat AI in this game is awful since every single battle went exactly the same way. As I said earlier, the more fighters you have, the higher chance you have of winning. So when you get into the later battles, you end up spending so much time just waiting for the AI to send out all their fighters. Then you have to go through every ship and send out all of your fighters to beat their fighters. Each battle becomes less a war between two superpowers fighting for the fate of the universe and more like a slap fight between two toddlers. Then once you finally destroy all their fighters, the remaining ships run away, so you have to waste even more time chasing them down and killing them. This happens every single battle. And since you can't win a planet with just one battle, you have to fight multiple battles back to back to back. This means more waiting for the enemy to move, waiting for your ships to move, and waiting for each side to attack. I'm not kidding you, around 80% of my footage in this game is just sitting around waiting for battles to finish. I feel like the developers knew this was an issue since they try to make each battle map unique. There's hexes that will open and close randomly on specific turns, some hexes that are impossible to shoot past, and each map has a special unique modifier. But just like in Empire Sin, if you have too many of these battles back to back, it doesn't matter how unique they are when they all feel like they blend together into an absolute slog. After about 30 minutes of this, I realized that I had another issue. There are 4 main ways to win in this game. However, since I played on a small map, I couldn't win a wonder victory as there weren't a lot of neutral planets to build wonders on. A science victory was also out since each technology was getting way too expensive and I didn't want to sit around waiting for hours until I won. If I wanted to win, I had to take control of the enemy factions. Since a player's entire empire goes to you when their capital is destroyed, and since it's really easy to take a capital here compared to other Sid Meier's games, I managed to get rid of the largest empire in the game after only 2 battles. Because of this, I accidentally won a population victory after only an hour of playing the game. Once you win the game, you can't keep playing like you can in other Sid Meier's games. You can only go back to the main menu. At least there's a cool little victory cinematic, I guess. If this was a game made by a smaller indie team, I could understand some of the weird design choices and power scaling, but Sid Meier's Starships just feels shallow. Building up your faction doesn't feel impactful when it boils down to just watching different numbers go up. At least, I'm assuming that's what's happening since the game doesn't explain anything, it only gives you an encyclopedia. Combat boils down to 2 things, making a lot of fighters and running away from the enemy. The AI either does nothing the entire game or just attacks everyone and everything near them. Some methods of winning are completely locked in some of the game modes, and you can win without even really trying to. For $15 from Firaxis and Paradox, this definitely isn't the worst game I played, but as much as it pains me to say it, this definitely isn't the best game I played either. Anyway, I hope to see you all again next time. Peace out.